Did you know that IBDP requires you to write 9 major research assignments, 6 internal assessments for each of your subjects, 1 TOK exhibition commentary, 1 TOK essay, and 1 extended essay of 4,000 words? To earn credibility with IB examiners, to impress your teachers who are predicting your grades, and to further and strongly impress admission officers who are looking at your university applications. Now, here is the thing. Research is not just about collecting lots of data, writing reams of pages, listing dozens of quotes. It has certain key elements to unlock not only a good research paper, but a great research paper. And IBDP, that makes a clear difference between a good university application and an unforgettable one.
Let's begin by looking at how the IB scores are calculated. They have 3 high level and 3 standard level subjects, and the highest that they can score in each of it is 7. So that sums up to a 42. And then the 3 core points come from the core components that we talked about here, the research components, which is TOK and EE. And then they have their internal assessments in each of their 6 subjects. Now, the IB core, as I said, is extended essay, theory of knowledge, and creativity, action, and service. So a good IA should enable the student to demonstrate their strong interest in that subject through a specific topic that they select. Moreover, it should be something that they have learned in their subject area, and they're able to demonstrate how they've learned it, what is the process. If it's experimental sciences, then they will be obviously conducting experiments to demonstrate their results, their conclusions, what they've observed. Some of the best scoring IAs have been the ones that are very procedural in nature, very methodic in nature, but with a fairly simple topic.
The Theory of Knowledge program allows a lot of leeway for both the teacher and the student in terms of what content is done in class. Getting to those real life examples that are academic enough, that set them apart, that are not just generated by AI, that's what will distinguish their assessments in TOK. To just demonstrate relevance to the exhibition question, they have to be able to pick the right question and then match that to 3 real life objects. So that's a great way of showing their fundamental research skills and then making their exhibition commentary unique from others. Your research to get those great examples that match to your title will again be the skill that gets you those high 8, 9, 10 marks. That's a TOK A.
Most schools will give a predicted point for TOK and extended essay based on the first draft right after the summer. What teachers will look at in that first draft is, has the student got a solid research question? Have they got the methodology for the research done? Have they done substantial reading to support as evidence? And if that's done, then the teacher is able to predict. The first point is whether the student has understood and has formulated a strong research question. Ensuring on working on achieving the full score considerably bump up their overall predicted grades and put them in a very advantageous position towards university entry requirements. Extended essay is a 4,000-word autonomous independent research component, and it's part of the overall matrix for TOK and extended essay. It's independently written. There are balances and checks within the school where they might have anti-plagiarism software, which the extended essays go through. So the student has to take on the task of finding a topic or an area that really interests them, and it could be in a specific discipline. Sometimes a student starts off an extended essay in economics with a specific topic and then realizes that this has an angle to it, which could be coming from a bit more of a business aspect, or it could be an angle which comes more from a political aspect. And if they're able to connect the two, or they feel that writing one perspective is a bit limiting, then they could take on an interdisciplinary approach and do what is called a world studies extended essay. They're usually registered under these 6 headings. Health and development is a very popular choice, equality, but environmental, economic sustainability is also a very important topic because a lot of students doing geography or global politics tend to do one on environmental and economics.
Today, I want to walk you through the importance of framing good questions and their presence throughout the IB program. Students get new ideas and construct understanding themselves rather than being a passive recipient of a teacher or facilitator's knowledge. So students will have to frame or respond to questions throughout the program, whether it is your inquiry questions in class that we just spoke about, questions in TOK, questions in EE, research questions in the internal assessment across your subjects, as well as assessment questions on an exam. Throughout the EE process, when you have to focus yourself on research, you need a good question. So well-crafted EE questions, what do? They direct a student's research effectively. They encourage a student to show that they are thinking critically when they analyze and synthesize their responses. And they show an evaluation of different perspectives that a student has showcased through their extended essay. In TOK, the whole course is designed around questions. A student has to sort of explore knowledge questions. Those are the content of our classes and both the assessments. So a TOK exhibition question will be, are some types of knowledge more useful than others? Students will have to discuss ideas like this in their exhibition commentary, pointing to how this abstract question becomes very real when connected to real life. The TOK essay question, this further enhances a student's critical discussion because they will have to explore this relationship between, does an advancement in technology correlate to an advancement in real life? Impact of questions on the extended essay. So the success of the extended essay, just like TOK, depends on how well that research question is framed. I'm sure some of you would have been familiar with the story of Goldilocks. Too hard, too soft, too hot, too cold, just right. Apply the Goldilocks rules to research questions. Some research questions are too long, too broad, right? Some research questions are too short, too narrow, lack enough terms to do research on or find content for 4,000 words, and they will lack depth. So let's take a look at the couple of questions on the screen there. What are the causes of climate change? A factual question like this leads to foundational knowledge, understanding what factors cause climate change. But this is not sufficient for a research project like the extended essay. Is it possible to balance economic growth with environmental sustainability? Now, this question has already introduced a debate that the student then can critically analyze. That what are the trade-offs between extreme economic development at the cost of environmental degradation? So that's where a critical discussion and diverse viewpoints, the government, people who are displaced from their homes, destruction of large habitats, etc. Like in Mumbai city, the destruction of the RA forest can become real life examples for these topics.
Predicted grades are usually given by the teachers as a prediction of the future performance of the students in their final IB exams. It is definitely based on the continued performance through the assessments. The key word to keep in mind here is consistency. If you're applying for something competitive in the UK, the second part of the personal statements mainly talks about the academic aspects of their education in the IB. So therefore, that's the part where they could focus on talking in depth about their extended essay that they've undertaken, talk a little bit more about the research question, what kind of methodology they use to collect data, how do they synthesize or evaluate. So these are some things that can be used in their applications to university in the personal statement. Similarly, in a college essay, if there's a topic that has been done on psychology or in the arts, something along those lines, if the college prompt says that, then talking about a significant research that they've done for the internal assessment or extended essay and talk about what were their learning outcomes from that experience could form a part of their college essay. Theory of knowledge, students have also talked about learning outcomes from theory of knowledge essays, for example, and which could become an essential part of reflection, evaluation, and analysis, or some demonstrating their lateral thinking skills in their personal statements or their college essays. Yes, there's a lot of learning that comes from this process, which goes into the university application process, where every single aspect of the application to university must be reflected upon. Students need to think about what they're going to put in the different aspects of what activities they've done, or what interesting experiences they've had, or what are some of the strong learning outcomes from their journey in the IB.